Dice game, sick in the dice game. Young out when the night came. For the blood diamonds, the ice change. Exchange for the nice things. Top from the gang, stop thanking for the mind frame. Real out, block hot boys on the right wing. Blitz door 1-2, coming down the pipe, main bed talk. Get it back, hang sideways, mean the shit in the sideways. Creeping through the shadows, the slice in the slide game. Demons in the night, ain't in my vibe, man. If it's tweaking out, I just push on my mind, man. Heart stay the same. Cross so that my mind, man. Skybox, crush on the skyway. Blissing out, I ain't 35 now. Yeah, we bliss down the death highway.
And the rain fall around me. You can only see what you wanna see.
My name is 97 Ritual. Sorry about my dog. And since I was a youngin', I aspired to be one of the great civilizing heroes of our time. Not really, they're not really spoken of much in our history, but I believe that these were the central ideas that they utilized to create civilization. And I believe that all of the great civilizations failed because of them using the philosophies that we are using today, such as greed, corruption, tyranny, monopoly, capitalism. I think these things innately destroy societies and lead to societal collapse due to the fact that wealth requires others to be in poverty in many of the ways in which it is produced today, such as with the iPhones and the cobalt mines, such as using fossil fuels, nuclear power, unsustainable energy, such as using child labor, such as profiting off of war, arms, weapons, and just overall the destruction and suffering of humanity. So that's why I created this, not only this channel, but I created a philosophy and an ideology, and I've also created a music culture. You can check my music out to embody this understanding. But this here section is a message for the politicians and for the other civilizing heroes, or the people who have the power, the resources, and the network in order to create and cultivate an idea as big as this one, because in the hands of someone like me, without those things, it's merely just theoretical, because this would require billions, if not trillions of dollars to do this across the entire planet. So without further ado, in ancient myths, there's been spoken of wise, half serpent, half man beings that carried the wisdom of civilization. And these beings understood astrology, astronomy as a unified art form, to where they somehow, when science and archaeology claims we're in primitive times, these beings somehow were able to understand our place in the stars and also understand how to cultivate and create megalithic structures out of rocks and stone quarries that they themselves cut. We still have yet to understand some of the sciences of how they created such structures. But I have a theory that these beings, whether they were some form of alien or just understood to be mythic, wise, and that's why they are referred to as some kind of higher entity, whether or not they're simply human. I think that one of the ways that they created these civilizations was utilizing networks and knowledge of the past. I think that they used essentially energy networks to create some form of tools or technology in order to distribute and cultivate civilization across the planet. I think they were able to do this after disasters and in the origins of our civilization. I think what this would look like for us today would be something like grids of solar networks, solar farms, solar energy farms, essentially thousands, tens of thousands of panels that generate massive amounts of solar energy and store it in some form of either a battery or a wireless generator structure, or something like a piezoelectric generator, which would essentially be some form of quartz or granite stones that were placed underground or in the ground, able to harness the innate energy from either the earth itself, whether it be from earthquakes or storms, and then transfer that voltage through copper, metal, silver, or gold wirelessly, utilizing something like the Tesla coil or the Wardenclyffe Tower on this copper. So essentially you could have a copper pillar coming out of a quartz stone, piezoelectric stone that's in the ground, harnessing energy from pressure in the ground or from water hitting that stone. And then this energy, whether depending on how many stones you have in the ground scattered throughout the earth or the city, could wirelessly distribute electricity in the same way that we have a wiring system today. But another way to do this would be solar farms, and we could just install thousands of panels in the biggest fields and clear lands for them today. And then this would also incentivize programs for workers, outcasts, prisoners, felons, immigrants, people that aren't able to get work or employment, artists, and you could make some form of live and work system where these outcasts could live and install solar panels all throughout the country, and the money that would be generated for this program to sustain the program could simply come from government infrastructure programs that we have today, such as the one that Joe Biden created that almost has $1 trillion. You could even cut the military budget at least $50 billion. You could even utilize the military in association with helping these networks of energy because this could be looked at as a part of the national security, because our energy grid is one of the most, if not the most vulnerable aspect of our national security, which is another relational aspect why this is a dangerous thing to be addressed. Another thing is that these solar farms would incentivize workers all throughout the nation, creating a new job market. It could also repurpose the train systems to where, like China, we have a more high-speed train system that travels, and these networks could be nodes or home points for workers, outcasts, and travelers from nations across the planet to come and assist in cultivating a new ecosystem for energy. This ecosystem that people could live and work in could also be expanded and updated into an actual fruit farm, so that it's actually producing solar energy, it's producing opportunities and potential for the people, and it's also producing fruit for the people who live there. This wouldn't have to be a long-term process. You could simply plant or install these trees across widespread amounts of fields and government territories. You could then use this fruit, or you could also put medicinal herbs, and then you could focus the AI systems that we currently have at Google and ChatGPT, and you could repurpose these same technologies in these networks, these solar farm energy networks, to where the solar farms are essentially powered by AI. And these solar farms being powered by AI, they'd be able to be balanced with the natural evolution, meaning that the AI could be focused instead of being focused on personal issues for humans. The AI could be focused on creating balance between the technological innovation and the natural innovation, so that the solar panels or the new technologically and naturally sustainable energy resources that we have are not destroyed and are not monopolized, meaning that the AI could essentially create a new balance between nature and technology itself, so that the AI focusing on the new technological innovations that is balanced with nature would give it a purpose in helping sustain not only our civilization, but the balance of technology and nature itself. And AI being focused on nature and creating resources that are balanced with nature would in fact give it a program purpose that is inherently non-destructive and productive and creative, and would actually free a lot of human workers from having to focus on the problems caused by greed, the problems caused by technological unsustainability, the problems caused by crime. Because if the AI itself is focused on, right, increasing the sustainability, which would increase the fruit production, the herb production, the medicinal production, the science production, the solar energy production. If the AI is purely focused on that, eventually, right, we're gonna reach a breaking point that people wouldn't even have to build these systems. The AI itself could be powerful enough to create these systems There could be nanobots or drones where the AI could move throughout the natural environment and look for essentially, where it could essentially build new structures for whether it's energy production or construction. And the AI could essentially update the environment. This would also create new job markets because people could be remote workers that remote control these construction drones. And then instead of AI taking our jobs, we could have a hand in creating our world almost in like a video game VR like environment, but where we're actually building our world with AI and with these drones. Essentially, how we could do that is basically make the AI in the same way that Waymo is used to automatically drive cars. It could have the same thing with these drones, but it could also have a construction program running. And then we could be kind of like the, adjusters. We would make, adjustments along the way rather than having to have people working for 13 hours a day out in the heat. And we could use these drones to install solar networks across the planet. But before if we were to ever even get to the AI, if people could do this, it would just take people installing solar panels and essentially solar powered homes in different cities, and then planting these farms across these nations. But if you did this, right, this allows there to be an entire ecosystem of a thriving, sustainable country that isn't threatened, right, by the downfall of societal collapse. And you could use my point in speaking on the stones is saying that you could use different forms of energy technology or whatever that the AI had created or that people have created, whether it be windmills, hydroelectricity, piezoelectricity, solar, anything that we could use. And you could use all these innovations and inventions in order to power the new environment. These things, right, you could create an extreme amount of new ideas and things in the world, right, that would just be able to upgrade the environment. For instance, if you had a freeway powered by piezoelectric energy, right, or modified with piezoelectric energy, you would be able to, the cars driving over it would hit the stones, and then these stones would transfer into the wiring of the grid, right? We would be able to contain all of the energy that all the cars are driving on the ground with, right? All that energy that is essentially being wasted, right? The energy of the driving itself, right, could power our vehicles, right? They don't teach you this in mathematics because this is what they call a self-repeating loop, right? But if you have an initial system, and this is why I'm speaking to the politicians or the other civilizing heroes, because if you have an initial system, right, that brings about the change, then in the long run, that's what creates and sustains it, right, is that system. So if you want to create this system based on greed, then all that's going to happen is we're going to keep suffering because all of our people are going to keep suffering. Your family members are going to keep suffering. Even if you were to get rich, you wouldn't be able to help certain people that you love, and that's going to stick with you, right? Even the tyrants, right, they're going to become corrupt and they're going to wish there was a different way. So this is me essentially saying the 20-minute blueprint for if you wanted to create a piezoelectric grid or solar energy grid network that was also combined with herb farms and fruit farms, right? And then you could connect those with trainways, railways, incentivize workers, power that with
the freeways. You could create essentially a network of energy, right, that feeds the people, that houses the people, and then whoever wants to build society is left on their own grounds to do so, whether they're just flying around robots like a video game, or they're designing it in a blueprint in a virtual environment, or they're creating the new ideas for the AI to work with on the new technological and natural innovations that are balancing with our planet. But first, what you have to do is create an energy system that's sustainable, because if you don't have the energy system, then it would never work. But see, this is what I think that the ancient leaders knew. This is what I think was the unsaid or unfound purpose of the things like the pyramids and the things like megalithic structures that we maybe have not realized. You know, maybe they had been using some form of chemical hydrolysis, or some form of transformation in order to change certain structures into what they needed them to be. Maybe they were creating the rocks. Maybe they were, mixing chemical substances, compounds, in order to create the rocks.
Like I'm Gilbert Arenas, I'm in the Millennium Falcon, I'm Godspeed. Bounty hunter, can you find me in the far reach? Look up to the sky that I'm masted. I just put a power crystal in the lightsaber. I came from the planet with the bandits and the raiders. Try to follow seekers, they can't detain us. Just find the elixir of life, I just obtained it. Meteorites falling down, I can see the flame. I've been on the I can see the spaces, sun is on the moon and the comet Mach 7. Higher than the comets and the highest of the heavens. Dark side, far side of the moon, south side of the earth. Joyride to the new burner archive. Final frontier going Mach 5. I'm a top flight.
We don't know. They could have had an entire technological system of things that we don't understand. They could have been pulling particles from outer space and using these things to power their tools, and we don't yet understand how their tool of magnetite could be powered by a microwave particle from the star system of Andromeda. But guess what? It might be something that they were able to do. We don't know where they got the stones from. It could be that they had some form of cauldron where they just formulated particles together, almost like a chemical bonding machine. And in this bonding machine, they were able to form these rocks, create rocks themselves, and essentially grow their stones, grow their own stones. Or it could be that it was such an old time that there was rocks there we never knew of. Either way that you look at it, I think that the civilizing heroes understood that you had to have a network of energetical structures in order to create. And you had to have a travel system to get between them. You had to have food to feed the society. And you had to have new innovators who are willing to bring their ideas forth daily. So whether they were turning water into stone or lead into gold, they were masters of the net. The internet is not the same as the outer net, you did. And if you master the outer network and you create a new network, then the monopoly cannot control the network. You did. And your net worth. So if you create a unified energetic grid structure, right? The system's no longer vulnerable. Not only to war or to decimation, but to tyrants and corruption as well. Poverty as well. Suffering as well. Immigration as well. Prison as well. You can have a new rehabilitation system that is purely productive. Why not? You know why? They'd rather profit off of war, destruction, death, right? Pharmaceutical drugs don't heal people. They kill people. Thus, the pharmaceutical companies keep making money, getting paid by the insurance, because the insurance company knows that they're insured by the death of the people. They're insured because the pharmaceutical companies got their back. And guess what? This isn't any calling out anyone in particular. It's simply saying this system of ways, right, leads to destruction of some people, right? A system that incentivizes people, whether if you use this solar to grid network, solar farm, fruit farm, live and work, right, network, right? Whether you use this in local, national, worldwide civilizations, right? You could put this shit on Mars and it'll work, right? Tell Elon just ride up there with 1 billion solar panels. You feel me? Probably enough energy to goddamn create some form of a force field, right? At least build a air tank, right? So what I'm saying is, not to get too crazy on all the Pizio and AI ideas and all of that, right? Hydrolysis, chemical fucking combiner particle machines, right? Right, astronomer, mythic, nega, serpents, right? Not to get on too crazy on all that, right? You feel me? What we trying to get to is the network. Master the net. You did. Not the internet, man. The net. The grid wave. You did. So, yeah, man, I almost got on another crazy. I will go on a crazy idea for y'all one more time. In quantum physics, right? You have the wave-particle duality, right? Everything, right, is a particle and a wave at the same time, right? You could say because of this, right? There's ways you could look at things because of this, right? But essentially what this could point to, you could say, is a unified field, right? Where all particles are connected, a network. Right? Because if we're all particles, right? You could look at me, or you could say I'm a fucking particle, nigga. I'm made of particles, right? Atoms, right? We're a network of atoms. Okay? What's holding me together? My wave, right? That's what's connecting me and you. The wave. You did.
So, we're all nodes on the network that connects us by waves, right? So, my point is, if you look at this like only we're a node, right? Or only we're connected, you're missing the point. You're missing a point. You're missing a picture, the whole picture, you did. You're missing the whole thing. Because, right? We're the whole net. It's all the whole net. The collective is the net, the whole motherfucking thing. You did. All of it, every motherfucking corner. So, us as a society are looking at the world like it's nodes. We're seeing, oh, this is Atlanta, right? This is Austin. This is Los Angeles, Long Beach, right? Indiana. Motherfucker, it's a state, I think. We looking at this shit like it's points on the map, right? Not that they connected like all one thing, you feel me? Right? In terms of our mindset, you did. Our ego, we see them as they're separate. You feel me? But we are all one. Whole lot of fire particles to make up this wave. You feel what I'm saying? Right? So my point is that GridWave, you did? Network. We create a network of the energy grid. It becomes a wave. The world isn't separate any longer. You did what I'm saying? It's the only idea that can save civilization. And I'm doing this for the future generations because if I don't, nobody will, right? I'm the one with the idea, so I gotta let it fly. And the thing is with GridWave, right? The world is not gonna advance past capitalism. It would destroy itself in capitalism. We would have societal collapse if you don't adopt the GridWave philosophy. The reason being is because if you remain in a capitalist system, every system that revolves around capitalism has to use a fiat currency. All fiat currencies, civilizations have fallen in the past, right? The reason why they're falling is because the fiat currency is no longer using gold as a value or something, right, to point to as value. The reason they don't use gold as value is because there's not enough gold to say that it's valuable. It will start, the society will start falling anyway with gold as a value. What has to be, right, the new value is production with sustainability, right? The new value is production. But where is production rooted from? Production is rooted from energy. You dig what I'm saying? Whether it's technology, people producing anything, inventions, right? You need energy, right? You need energy. Without the electricity, energy, our civilization would fall in 3 weeks, right? You get no gas at the gas station, no warmth at the supermarkets, right? No warmth for your food in the fridge, right? Nothing at the hospitals, no energy, right? No television, no pharmaceutical drugs, no transportation, right? No money, right? Nothing. 3 weeks. It's all falling, brother. 3 weeks, brother. That's how long we have, right? Whether it be an attack, EMP, boom, hit the motherfucking grids, right? Blackout. It's over with, brother. Over with. And this isn't me trying to be a doomer. You did. This is me saying the purpose of this idea. GridWave. The root, right, of this theory. And the reason that if the future generations don't adopt this philosophy, why this civilization may collapse, right?
The philosophy is, right? You must create a system of free energy, right? That begins with the mind. The reason it begins with the mind is you have to know the purpose before you do what we do. You have to know the purpose, brother. And if the purpose is just for you to be comfortable, right? What is that at the expense of? Right? If it's at the expense of another one suffering, is it worth it? And would it really be worth it for your kids in the future if that's the world that's being created? You did. Is it? I don't think it is, bro. I don't think it is. And I don't think anyone would prefer that world. So we have two choices, right? Both of them involve going faster towards the goal, right? But only one of them is going together. Now, we need a unifying idea for us to all go together towards. And if we all went with GridWave, right, this could be something that puts infrastructure in all of the most loneliest, abandoned, impoverished places on the planet, right? And if you free people from this trap of capitalism, you give everyone a goal that's worth working towards, right? You free them from this trap, right? Then our purpose, our work is actually worth something, bro. At the end of the day, bro. Whether it takes 10 years to finish this, or 1, or 20, or 30, at least it's done. Then we don't have to ever do shit again, brother. Like, I mean, if you don't want to, you could just sit on the GridWave in your pod home in the geodesic dome cribs that the AI drones built, right? And goddamn eat a fucking pineapple, nigga. You did. Play with a pet jaguar, nigga. Some hounds with you and shit. You did. Yo, kid, you go to the beach. You feel me? Come on, bruh. The fuck? You know what I'm saying? What's the point of working for 45 years to goddamn retire old as fuck? With not shit, nigga. Kids in college, nigga. Nigga, I don't even want to speak on what your girl gonna be doing. So how about this, bruh? And that's, nigga, that's the good, that's if you make it. That's the good, that's the successful outcome. Like the rare one. That's the 1% outcome, bro. The 1% outcome, bro. The real truth, nigga, is the whole shit. Listen, bro, if niggas keep taking every day from everybody, right? Whether you a gangster, whether you a CEO, if you a pharmaceutical fucking CEO, right? A politician, a dirty one, a dirty cop, any fuckhead scum person, a fucking pet PDFI, you need a grape abuser, all of that. If you any of them type of people, right? You, first of all, man, you were the reason the fucking world is gonna fucking blow up, nigga. You the reason. And let me explain why. All that slimy shit you do to people makes other people do slimy shit, nigga. And it makes a whole lot of motherfuckers do that shit, bro. And then guess what? In fucking 30 years, whether you succeeded doing it or not, maybe you made $1 billion off that shit. Guess what, nigga? The whole world is gonna be dying beneath your feet. And you're gonna need 100,000 niggas in an army protecting your fucking kid. 100,000, nigga. And guess what? Them niggas is not gonna give a fuck about money when there ain't no food for their kids. I had to get that one off real quick, nigga. But aside from that, bro, aside from the fact that the world is gonna be in destruction, cause here's another thing. All them gangsters, listen, bro. Listen, bro. Ain't nothing wrong with being a gangster. Okay, let me just say that part. But I mean, if you a scum, bro, of any kind, okay. The reason I use gangster is because a lot of these YNs nowadays, goddamn, don't have no code with this shit. Okay, gangster used to really mean something, right? Now that shit just mean you might have killed a nigga. That don't mean shit, nigga. Right? I could go right now. It ain't gonna mean nothing. My nigga, kids gonna be without a, you know what I'm saying? Without a motherfucking role model. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I'm saying, bruh. That's the type of shit, right, that caused a worse planet, bro. Because if a nigga was to get mad at me, right, for what I was just saying, come and blow my top off, right? Pause. Nigga, their kids is gonna be living on a worse planet, nigga, even if there's no get back. You feel me? So that's the issue, bruh. Is what I'm trying to say, bruh. It don't matter what the fuck you call yourself in this planet, bro. It don't matter what the fuck your role is in society, gang. It don't matter, bro. At all. You feel me? It don't matter, gang. Like, on everything, bro, right? What matters is what the big picture is, nigga. And it's either gonna end in blood and ash and fucking fire and decimation and vomit for all of your kids, even if you get off fucking, nigga, clean-handed with your scummy ass, dirty motherfucker, fucking Rossclot, Bomba fucking clot, right? Fucking dirty fucking scum. Look, it's probably some solid motherfuckers watching me, nigga. Alright? Cause y'all niggas get what I'm saying, bruh. So don't let me don't catch my strays. But goddamn, they're the niggas who the world is gonna be fucked up because of, right? And it's hard not to become like them. That's what I'm trying to get at, bro. It's hard not to become like these niggas, bro. You dig? It's hard, bro. Because there's niggas who have ideas like this shit, nigga, GridWave, right? And at the end of the day, bro, sometimes we don't get nowhere because the world don't want to hear it, nigga. The world don't give a fuck about the GridWave, right? The actual idea that could change the planet, right? And then they speed off, and then look, niggas like me get left in isolation, and then we go out and start doing dumb shit, right? Scamming or some shit, right? Because, well, this shit going to hell anyways. Everybody else getting ahead by taking everybody else, whatever, right? And that's what it leads to, destruction, right? And just because everybody else is on this shit, ain't no fucking reason for us all to be on it. So what I say is this, nigga. Let's get these politicians to be aware of the grid wave. The grid wave, nigga. The grid wave. Solar network. Solar farm network. With farms. For future technological and natural innovation, balanced with AI, for the future generations of humanity, to incentivize workers, outcasts, prisoners, for rehabilitation, for medicinals, for food, sustainable housing, geodesic domes on land, with solar farms, fruit farms, with a network, repurposing the train systems and freeways, utilizing sustainable energy, utilizing piezoelectric crystals to harness the power of the earthquakes and storms and rivers and freeways, so that our people can be free from the slavery of capitalism and live our lives for true production and innovation. Instead of genocide.
Can't stop for the get dirt on my break. Gotta on my pants when I don't fake. And my still outside post. And I'm still outside post. Can't stop for the get dirt on my break. Gotta on my pants when I don't fake. And my still outside post. And I'm still outside post. I'm still outside. Like my ride, and I stand on line. Been with around you. I'm in it back to back. I flew out the but I just got it back. That kept, he just rap. I hop out the back, got a strap on my left. Got a stock in the they both came and take. My green, my can head it back. I'm dressing Celine with a on my set. And I don't know what you mean, come to take. Back to back. We running inside, taking all of that. I had real Julius and all black. Facts. You a funny little guy, you can't get it back. Can't stop for the get dirt on my break. Gotta on my pants when I don't fake. And he still outside post. And he still outside post. Can't stop for the get dirt on my break. Gotta on my pants when I don't fake. And still outside post. And still outside post.